And there's no doubt on the fact that tools like Chat GPT can really save you a lot of time on repetitive tasks. Even finding information, sometimes it can be quicker than a search engine search.
Of course, what happens is at one time one person is in good spirits, and at the other time the other person is in good spirits. But there is always one person who will be almost 90% of the time he'll be motivating, he'll be saying that things will be fine, don't worry, don't worry, don't worry. And I would like to give him a shout out, right? That you had the big role in it.
I think now we are shifting a lot towards using that operationally as well, on top of building our initial technology of the product.
Hello everyone, my name is Ali. I'm the CEO of Al-Burraq Technologies, and today we are with you again with an amazing tech star with us, Luca Mozzo. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm very good. Thank you a lot for having me.
Thank you so much for joining. Okay, it will be great if you can give us some of your introduction, and you can give a brief summary about what you have done in the past, and then we can proceed further.
Perfect. So I started my journey studying computer science at King's College London. That's where I founded with some of my teammates Deepfinity, which trades with the product Parcel Tracker. And we're still going, very excited, and I think we are at the point in which we are really seeing the fruits of what we've done so far. However, the journey is not being all flat. In between, I worked as a software engineer for a company in the UK, and I also studied quantitative finance to increase my knowledge around the new field. So there's been a bit of up and downs, but I'm glad to the point we reach now.
Right. So I'm very much interested in the ups and downs of Parcel Tracker, and you have told us some of them backstage. So I would like to ask the hardest times you have faced in Parcel Tracker. Right now you are at the pre-seed stage, and I think you're raising again, right? So tell us
Yes, we are.
some of the bad times and now the current times as well.
Absolutely. I think it comes with no surprise that the bad times were at the beginning. So I started building the product in May 2017, and I think we closed our first contract in January 2019. So it's been 1.5 years without revenue, just bootstrapping, just working on a product that you know you didn't know if it would succeed or not. That's going 0 to 1 is by far the hardest step, because you don't know if you just need to push a bit more, if you need to stop, if you need to pivot. You wonder all the things that could be going wrong, and you need to make sure that even with your co-founders you are on the right page. um, I think this eased a bit as we managed to add on revenue, but we still had, a lot of uncertainty until we managed to be profitable as a business. That's where things got a little bit better, even if it doesn't come without problems, without concerns, and we still need to be very careful about what we do to make sure that we can sustain our growth.
In the early stages, as you have said, that in the early stages it was hard time, and you guys were struggling financially and otherwise, and of course it is very hard in the beginning. That is, of course, I can understand, because I'm running my own stuff, and we are also providing staff augmentation services and B2B development services. So I can understand the business perspective of it, that in the beginning you were struggling, right? But in that struggle, because your struggle was not like for months, it was a handsome span, I would say, right? So in that, what was the key thing that was motivating you toward working, or toward, you can say, that kept you aligned to your vision? What was that?
I think there was a lot of accountability that we kept among the three co-founders. We met at university, so we worked together in the past. We knew how each other was motivated, and yeah, sometimes there are up and downs for everyone. But if we manage to keep each other accountable in the moments of down, it's more likely that one out of the three is motivated to push, because the mood cannot always be positive all the time for everyone. So I think it's in general, I would generalize it as one of the positive things about having co-founders and not going solo on a journey like this. And then, of course, all the small all the small pieces, all the small achievements, those of course were pushing the mood for everyone. So
Right,
those were
right.
giving motivation.
So, in that hardest time, amongst three of you, who was the motivator?
It was Arthur, my co-founder. So there's a funny thing. I was I've been the one always waging a lot the opportunity cost. So I was I wouldn't say the negative one. I don't think um, it's good to have an overly pessimistic person on the table as a co-founder. I think I was realistic, and the reality of it is that it was very hard for us to um, achieve certain goals that we set for ourselves. I'm very glad to say that this year, for the first time, we managed to reach the goal that we set for ourselves and for the company. So that's I'm glad, but at the same time, I think I've been Arthur has been the main motivator there, but he also had some downtimes. I can also say that myself. I pushed him.
Right, right.
Um,
So, of course, what happens is at one time, one person is in good spirits, and at the other time, the other person is in good spirits. But there is always one person who will be almost 90% of the time, he'll be motivating, he'll be saying that things will be fine, don't worry, don't worry, don't worry. And I would like to give him a shout out, right? That you had the big role in it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think also the role of a visionary, the person that dreams and doesn't care too much about the feasibility of things. And then, myself and the third co-founder, Alan, would, keep accountability on what could be done, and just let's try and see if we can get there. I think the mixture of the two was also like a very positive
Right.
part in the process.
Hey, Alan, are you listening to this one? Okay, let's move forward. And because today is the many things have been changed in the past 2 3 years, especially since Chat GPT is launched, right? So I would like to ask you directly how you are using AI and ML in your product, and what are your future goals regarding that? How are you going to pivot by using AI?
So I think we need to differentiate the use of AI on an operational level and on a product within the product. When we launched the product, we basically that was our main differentiator. So the way Parcel Tracker works is that it automatically detects information of the parcel label, and that's what is the great advantage. So the way we would sell the software was, how long does it take you to write everything on paper or using your current manual system, and how long it takes compared in comparison to use Parcel Tracker and just click a button, scan the label of the parcel, and automatically do everything. So computer vision for us was a thing back in 2017, when in reality there was already some hype. Um, I know now the hype reached a completely different level, but there was still some machine learning. It was the machine learning hype at the time. Um, Now it moved towards more towards language models. But yeah, that has been a core part of our product from the very beginning. I think now we are shifting a lot towards using that operationally as well, on top of building our initial technology of the product. Um, I mean, I feel like there's no question, there's no doubt on the fact that tools like Chat GPT can really save you a lot of time on repetitive tasks. Even finding information, it sometimes it can be quicker than a search engine search. So it's used extensively by everyone. We have business accounts for ChatGPT, and everyone has access to it, and they're free to use it.
Right. There is another way of using free of cost ChatGPT model for open the Bing search engine, and in Bing search engine they have given you free access of ChatGPT 4 model.
And yeah, so I think we just got the paid version to use the version 4 in
I'm
particular.
I'm trying to save your cost, buddy.
Yeah, I think
Why are you not interested in saving cost of Parcel Tracker?
that's great.
Okay, so let's move forward toward the because your product was developed remotely, right? So I would like to ask you the pros and cons of remote work, and be honest. Whatever the pros, whatever the cons are, do tell us very honestly.
Yeah, I think the choice of doing remote work started from the idea that we bootstrapped when we started the company. So yes, we did raise in the past while we were already revenue generating, and also at the time we were 3 students out of university. We didn't have a lot of experience to say we need to build this website, and we can do it very quickly. Sometimes we had to rely on someone else because we had ourselves a steep learning curve, um, because we didn't have much industry experience. So that's how we started. So it started. We mostly worked on like a milestone basis. We would hire people anywhere in the world, and we would give them projects and see how they would work. And that allowed us to set a specific budget for a task, so predictable costs, and to not commit on hiring someone that we wouldn't know if we could keep them for longer. So that's how it started. um, how it is going now, I think is also great even now, even if we're not relying on the same idea. We don't have the same motivation to do so. Um, of course, we like low costs when we can have them. You just try to save us some money on a subscription, but I think there are, again, different reasons. So we offer 24/7 support to our customers, because some of them are enterprise and they require this kind of service. So this is one of the basic things. We can have people in different time zones. Um, and then I would say it's been fine. People are free to move around. There is this trend of digital nomading, people going around different countries, working from everywhere, and we are fine. People are accountable for what they do, and not whether they work for. So we're happy for our employees to do so. I would say these are the positive aspects. Um, there were also some negative ones, especially at the beginning when we didn't have the
I am
expertise.
very much interested in those. Trust me, I am very
Yeah,
much interested.
yeah, no, absolutely. So I think there was a project, so one of the platforms that was estimated to be done in 3 months. I think it took 1 year to complete.
Nice.
So
Thank God it got completed.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, because I also have an example of one that did never make it to the end, which was our original version of the web platform, which in the end we ended up developing. But at the very beginning, it was supposed to be available. I think a couple of years before, and that never made it to the end, unfortunately. Um, so I think the big lessons there, which I think could be most interesting for the people who are listening, is that you have to master the hiring process. You need to ask the right questions, and I don't know. I feel like even the gut feeling sometimes plays a role. I'm a
Yeah, I can
believer in this.
agree.
I know there are some people who believe in this.
Yeah, I can agree with that. That gut feelings, because the thing is, I call it experience. When you are experienced enough in hiring and you are talking to somebody, uh, then by talking to him, you get an idea that whether he's the right person to do the job or not. So I think gut
Absolutely.
feeling has a very important role in hirings, and sometimes the person is brilliant on papers and is brilliant in talking, and he's answering everything according to the book, but the gut feeling says that something is wrong. Then I think I would go for the gut feeling at that time.
Absolutely. And also when you run, tens of interviews, you start you almost yeah you can immediately see that it's definitely something you can train and you can learn from.
Yeah. And I think in every interview, if you are even conducting as an interviewer, you learn something. You keep learning on the stuff. And uh, because I think it's been more than 10 years I'm interviewing people. So I don't know how many I've done, right? So you keep learning new things, and and after 1, 2, 3 months, you get idea of those things as well, which you have never heard, which you have never seen, and things like that. So that happens.
Yeah, exactly. And you probably know better than me that it's not just for a technical role, for instance. It's not just do you know how to code, how well do you code. There's also soft skills do play a role, and I do not believe in soft skills in a CV.
Yeah,
Everyone can write leadership, but in the end is in those in that 1 hour, 30 minutes, whatever time you dedicate to the interview, which you need to be able to demonstrate these skills. And they say it takes 150 milliseconds to um, to see how a person behaves and whether they can be you could get along with them or not. So it's a very short time.
yeah. And my interview process is I do not define the time slot of the interview. If my interview is getting long, that means I am interested in that person. If in the very first minute I got to know that this person is not required, I'll end the interview. I I will not waste my time on that. So
That's a
that
very
is how I
interesting way.
interview people.
I should probably try that, but
So
I
uh,
agree.
so the drawback of this approach is sometimes my HR gets a call that how dare your CEO insulted me like this. I say that I didn't insulted him. I just ended the interview because I knew that it is going to waste a time.
It's the time of both, right?
Yeah, of
So if
course,
you
of
already
course.
know it's not gonna go that way, like
Yeah,
you might as well save them time as well.
yeah, of course. But people do not understand that. What can I do? Okay, let's move forward. Let's move forward. You have very interesting stories about the estimations as well, right? The estimations you get on Upwork. So tell us about that.
So, sorry, just let's repeat this one
Take your
again. So
time.
you
Take
mean,
your time.
yeah, yeah, okay. Let me also, sorry, I just think, let me just make sure I don't get notification. I got a couple of them, so okay. Um, you want me to talk about the estimates on like time and
Yeah.
money that we
Yeah, of
discussed
course, of
before?
course, of course. So let me rephrase the question, right? Okay, so I'm rephrasing it. So you get I know you have very interesting stories about the estimations you get on Upwork. So tell us some of the stories and some of the incidents happened regarding the timeline and the budgets.
Yeah, absolutely. So we used Upwork from the very beginning, actually, as our main platform to source talent. I think it's pretty good. Um, what we do usually is we most of the times we offer a budget. I think most recently we are no longer displaying that, and we let people make an offer. Um, we don't usually work with hourly payments. We ask people, to estimate their own hours it will take. We provide all the technical details. We make ourselves available for, explaining, better explaining the scope, so people can provide a more accurate estimate, and then we agree on the estimate. But connecting back to the previous story, and when a project gets shifted from like a 3 month building period to 1 year, that inevitably increases the cost as well. So they can easily double or 3x very very easily. So I think the lesson there from our mistakes is to, if it's too cheap, probably is probably too good to be real. Some people are not used to estimation, and especially if you ask them to estimate something because you want to have a predictable cost, then they could make mistakes if they're not used to the process. So it might not always be beneficial to do what we did in the past, and we've seen the consequences. Um, so I think actually a big lesson and big advice is around the contracts. So make sure, without you don't have to be, actually you shouldn't be deceiving in any way. You should um, write down very granular acceptance criteria. So you write the specification, you have to be clear on the specification, and then you have to be clear on the acceptance criteria, so people know what to expect. Sometimes we even write how we are gonna test the system. So we're gonna you implemented this thing. We're gonna check this component by running this process and this other process, and we make sure that it works. Um, Exactly. And then, our expectation out of this is like a Pareto principle. We expect, if we have 80% done there by, outsourcing, and for us that's only, 20% of the effort to review the work, we're happy to add some more work in to fix, or like finalize the few details that were left out, or to, extend the engagement with the person. It actually happened a lot of time. Many of the people working for us started by on a milestone basis, and now they work full time.
Right, right, right. You're a very good client, I must say. Why don't you work with us as well?
We should.
I have in my last 10 years, I have never seen a client accepting 80% or 85%. So, of course, that is our approach as well. I say to my people, to my developers, that 99% is not 100%. You have to complete it to 100% to make it to mark it as completed. And one input I would like to add in wrong estimations of timeline and pricing. What do you think was the reason of that?
I think the fact that I think it goes back to the very old. I'm connected to the first thing I said. Uh, positivity and negativity, and in between, being realistic. Um, for me, people who are too positive expect everything to go as expected. Personally, now, where I have a bunch of different responsibilities, um, it's really hard for. I tend to overestimate things, and I do so correctly because so many things pop up in the middle, which could be technical issues, but sometimes it could be a different task that pops in, and I need to consider that because if I tell a client, look, this needs to be done by this, this is going to be available on the product this date. Uh, it's not great if I have to tell them, oh, look, it's going to be in a week, 2 weeks, or more. So um, I think even there, from experience, if you're used to work in this way, you know what's going to happen. I remember when I was working as an employee in a much larger company, and product managers actually knew how to do this correctly, and like developers were like, "Oh, this would only take a week," but then I think product managers had that bit more of experience around this, and they would say, "Oh, it's gonna take 3 weeks because stuff is gonna happen," and
That
it does happen.
that is the key point. That is the key point. Experience. When we hire on the Upwork or any freelance platform, do not let's not specify the Upwork. If when you are hiring on Upwork or any other freelance platform, one thing you should keep in mind is the experience of the developer you are hiring. If you are hiring an individual, you must understand that an individual developer does not have enterprise level experience. He has the coding experience, he does not have the management experience. So, the estimations fall under the management side. If he's doing good estimations, that's your plus. But if you're expecting the perfect estimations from a developer who has always coded and who has been on the coding side, that's a wrong expectation, I must say. That is why, although many people prefer individual developers nowadays instead of agencies, but I must say that at this point, that is the edge of an agency. If you're hiring an agency, they have the experts of the management sides, they have the experts of the development side. When they are giving you estimations, they are collaborating with both entities and then they are giving you estimations. So that, according to me, that is the key factor. Of course, there are many, you can say, exceptions exist in there as well. Many agencies can do blunders, but according to me, that is the reason that they lack the experience of estimation.
Absolutely, and that, of course, is you need to find the right trade-off between budget and that
Yes,
level of
very important.
experience.
Yeah,
And I
very
think
important.
that's where the percentage threshold, sometimes there's that 5% which is not as expected, is fine. If I have the skills in house, I'm gonna put in that 5% and do the integration because I can sit down, do that in one night, put in a weekend, get it done. But I know that if we're gonna start arguing over the contract, no one's gonna be happy. The other person is not gonna be willing to work more, and you're gonna end up arguing. Sometimes I believe it's not worth it. It's not always the case. I believe in most cases it's not worth it. And thankfully, I'm glad to say that we never ended up in that situation.
Yeah. I think one thing everybody who is hiring on Upwork or any other freelance platform or any other way, in any other way, if you are hiring somebody, right, that is a general advice for the people that if you are going to save the cost and if your developer or development team or developer, he's at the losing end, at the end, your product is going to suffer because nobody wants to be in the loss. If they have made some wrong estimations, you need to talk to them again. So it might happen that they are working and they are not demanding anything from you, but one thing you should know is, one thing at the back of the mind will be that I am in the loss, I am in the loss, I am in the loss, and at the end that loss is going to be reflected on your product. Do not put your products under uh, harsh circumstances just because you tried to save some hundreds or some $1,000. So that is the key advice from my side. Well, I have around 11 years of experience in freelance. So that is the advice, that uh, do not put the other party under the loss. That is for the developers as well. That you have to keep one thing in mind: if the product you are working on right now is going to work, is going to be succeeded, that is a door open for you for the support. That is your business. If the product is successful because of you, because of the development you did, client is not going to be anywhere. So if you have to suffer a little bit, do it, and make sure the product is successful. If the product is successful, at the end of the day, you are going to get business.
It's very interesting to hear the other side of the advice.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
it's a two-way relationship. It can't work one way. If the client is good, freelancer is not good, it is not going to work. Freelancer is good, client is not good, it is not going to work. Both have to be intelligent, both have to be smart. So keep your interest, but do mind the interest of the other party as well, and do protect it.
It is negotiation. It's not about being right 100%. It's about finding that equilibrium in which both people are operating in good faith. They want to get an output, and you maximize that output for both people. I think that's where um, the correct trade-off is.
The key point you said earlier, that is the key, that you have to find the equilibrium between pricing and the quality. So you have to find the equilibrium. So that was an important lesson from your side. Okay, so let's move forward. While building your teams, what are the key factors you keep in mind, and how do you build your teams?
I think so. One of the things around hiring is that we do, even for like people working in on a single project, we do in-person interview. We like to talk with our people. We like to make sure that there is a good communication, and if the project requires people to work autonomously, for instance, we need to ensure that people can actually work autonomously. Um, so I think that's where it starts. So that's one of the things. Um, another thing that we do is we used I think it's called psychometrics analysis. I don't know if you've heard of any of these platforms in which basically they check different traits of your personality to see if they are compatible. Um, we tried that. I think we haven't relied 100% on it, and I think people are pretty much aligned. So we didn't make any specific choice, but like it could give a little bit of edge for people who are more aligned with the team's conglomerated, let's say, traits. And the last thing, which actually I would say is the most important one, is the culture. Now, you know what's been going on in the world, especially in very large companies, traditional companies, in the past few years. Working from home, going to the office, and it's all about the culture. The reason why companies want employees to go to the office is to keep the company culture. And personally, I've seen it. I was working from the office in my old company, from the office every single day before the pandemic. And I was loving it. There was a lot of collaboration. as soon as the pandemic started, this completely changed. The contacts you had with other people felt less human, and I feel like there was a bit of a loss of collaboration. So what happens? You're working remotely. You need some way to ensure that people are aligned. You're not gonna force people to be in the same room. So you you need to make sure that people are willing to work together. People are aligned. They share in some way the same values, and that's much more important, in my opinion, for a remote company to have this alignment in terms of culture. And most importantly, the culture needs to come from management.
Yes,
So,
I totally agree
if
with that. Top tier management defines what the culture will be at the lowest level.
and they do it by example. They don't do it by putting it on a set of slides. We don't have slides describing our culture. We,
I agree with that.
we try to lead by example.
I can give a very good example of that. One of the HRs I was talking to in a podcast, she said that uh, in our office, the CEO comes in a trouser and people come in shorts as well. How can I fix those things? Because if you have females as well in an office, then there should be some decorum, or there should be some protocol that should be followed. So I said that if your CEO is coming in trousers, that means you're not going to fix that. I said, what I do is I try to be as simple as possible and be in a decent dressing, so that the people looking at me as a CEO, they can go one step further, right? They can take a leverage and they can go one step further. They can wear the trousers at max because I'm not doing anything. I'm not crossing any lines. So they will maximum wear trousers, right? They will not come in shorts. I'm not saying anything, but I'm implementing it by the examples. She said, wow.
No,
So that is how you
absolutely.
do it.
And you walk into a room. If you are the only person in a different dress code, you're gonna feel it. So it may happen at least once, or in some other way, not in some other case, not even that one time. If you're starting a job in a bank, and probably the fact of putting on shorts doesn't even cross your mind. So I feel like this is where like the culture, you sometimes you even know what to expect.
Yeah, exactly. That is perfectly okay, or you can say that 100% correct. Okay, so let's move forward now, because you are a CTO and you have developed an amazing product. So I would like to ask you that what are the key factors CTOs or the newbies they need to keep in mind while developing a product?
Okay, I think the what determines the success, actually, let me take it one step back. um you are planning to start a company, and you probably have, this usually starts with a group of friends or people you worked with or people you studied with, and you pretty much know how these people are. um there is one factor which I've seen 100% prevents the company from even starting, which is no one wants to get their hands dirty. Um, you know, you have a team of like three computer science students. They all want to work on the product. No one wants to run the business because they could be a bit of introverts, or I don't know. It's just cooler
That's a
to
tough job
code
as
and
well.
build. Exactly. So what happens? There is an essential part of the business that no one's gonna take care of. Or in some other scenario, the opposite scenario could be you have this amazing business major. They know everything around selling the product, marketing the product, getting investment. But then when it comes to programming, building the product, or it doesn't have to be a digital product. It could be doing a prototype. You have to get your hands dirty. And so that's the first obstacle you're gonna face. If you don't have co-founders willing to take care of what you need to take care, that's done from the beginning. From my experience, the most recent example I can give you of this is that um, as you grow, you need to do certifications. You need to show your clients and potential clients that you are trustworthy, that you take data privacy seriously, that you have processes in place if the service goes down, to prevent it goes down. So you need to have processes. You need to have like compliance to certain policies and to certain certifications. And what I can tell you is that it's a very boring work. It's a lot of paperwork. You don't get to see any of the good things. It's not like a product that you have a bit of coding and then you see the result. You never see
Exactly.
the results. It's always going to be
Exactly.
a pain.
Exactly.
But someone needs to do it. For me, the motivation, if I can share that, my two cents on this is getting the certification is my motivation. So that's what I'm aiming at. Um, and of course, it's not 100% of my work. Is actually it takes a small bit of my time. Um, but it is important that someone is willing to do that, even if it's boring. And even in the same, just to close this question, even in your specific area of expertise, in your role, you need to understand, especially if you're coming from the industry as an employee, the one thing you need to understand is that there is no asking above. If you have some money you can spend on consultancy, they might be able to help you, might find some expensive experts to help you. It's not going to take you one day to get the answer. You need to find them, you need to interview them, you need to hire them. So if you have a pressing issue, you need to understand that you are the one who needs to fix it. And that may mean, spending one night on an issue, on,
You're talking
you
about one night? That can be
one
many
okay
nights.
one night. I think, okay, one night probably in the case of an incident. I do not wish anyone to have a product down and it takes more than one night to figure out. Uh,
It's a
in general, I
nightmare.
would say, yeah, in general, I would say if you have to fix a problem, if something is too slow, if it's not scaling, you have to figure out, unless you hire someone who's a bit more skilled, um, or able to fix the problem. But at the beginning, you probably won't have that money unless you raise, or you invest a lot and increase the risk. If you're bootstrapping, it's not easy. You cannot have any victim mentality. You have to be this is the situation. There's only one way to go out of this situation, which is fixing the problem, learning, searching, staying in front of the screen until this problem is fixed, and then I'm gonna relax. Then I'm gonna take a day off and disconnect.
That was a very good insight and a good lesson as well for the people who are going to do their own businesses, who are going to develop their own products. So, for the audience, thank you so much for watching and bearing us for this much long time. Keep subscribing and keep watching to our podcast. We'll keep bringing more tech stars to your screens. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.